And we're live.
You know, wouldn't it be cool?
You got a button pushed?
Wouldn't it be cool one day if we actually went on the air on time on the right band?
On the right band? And, yeah.
That might be a little weird.
We're definitely on the wrong band, but we're going to have to use it, though, right?
I think so. Due to technical difficulties beyond our control, I mean completely beyond our control, we can't be on the air on North Georgia Amateur Radio Association tonight. So, since no one else is holding a net on GMRS, so we thought we'd just come over here and occupy the airwaves. Does that seem reasonable?
It's going to work.
We're
going to make it work,
I said
right?
on the other side.
Yeah. So, all right. So I think that's what's going to happen. So if you're surprised to hear us on GMRS instead of ARA, so are we.
Yes. Yeah.
Well said.
That's why we're late and disoriented.
Why I'm wearing the wrong shirt.
But we're here, and it's not an accident this time. We're here on purpose.
Yeah, the orange marble isn't really orange, you know.
Right.
We're going to have to figure out the log. So I've got. Tony, what's your? Wait, I think I know what it is.
Do you know what it is?
1-1. I don't remember the rest of it.
Did you create a log over there?
Yeah.
Because I hadn't.
Yeah, I
okay.
did.
Good.
And then
I'm just now trying to pull it up.
And then.
I see it now.
263.
W-
So.
For everybody on YouTube, we're just all out of sorts.
Oh yeah, we had to completely throw. Hey,
Different.
let
It's
me
a different
do this.
log. It's a different. We might want to start with the introductions.
Yeah, let me do this.
Okay.
Let's reset. I think we're mostly ready. I don't know if Rogers. Are you getting caught up with things?
I think we're about 90% good.
We made some changes on his end of the desk over the last few days, and I'm not sure he really knows where anything's at the moment.
No.
I've completely forgotten.
I helped make the changes, and I don't know where everything's at.
So good evening and welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net, the most disorganized and interesting net in two-way radio. Tonight we're live from Studio Vanguard, and we're linked in with the following repeaters. Does anybody know what repeaters we're following?
Are we connected to repeaters?
Let me scroll up because I had the ARA repeaters. Now we got to switch over. So we're coming live from Buckhead, Flagship, Noonan, Rome, Fort Mountain, Toccoa, Watkinsville, Columbus, Zebulon, Cades Cove. No, that's a link. Sorry. Lookout Mountain, Ottawa, White Oak, Mount Roosevelt, Chattanooga, And that's it.
That's it. All right. Bump your audio up just a little bit when you get a chance. Your net control tonight is Atlanta 946 WQIR 514. My name is Justin.
Atlanta 102 WSAM 231. My name is Jim.
Atlanta 1150 WRZV 748. Tony.
And WSAL 368, Atlanta 263, Rogers.
And one more, Atlanta 250, WRWK 895.
All right. And knock his level down just a tiny touch on Dana there. This is on the net, you can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything you think we'd like to hear. This is a family-based network, so we encourage you to get your family involved. Guest check-ins are welcome from anyone with a valid FCC call sign. If you're checking in on YouTube, please include your FCC call sign. If you have one, include your first name, your location. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to address other members of the net by their name or tactical unit number. Your FCC call sign is only required when you sign in or sign out of the net. Let me break.
What y'all drinking tonight?
Also, you can tune in on our YouTube channel and follow along, or even better, tune in after and watch your experience on the network. Hear how you sound to us right here in Studio Vanguard. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment so we know you are watching. These interactions mean the most to help our new channel grow. It's not. I thought we talked about that. The new channel.
Channel?
We're not that new.
No.
You know, we started
26 seasons, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, 26 seasons. We started doing YouTube live streams in 2018.
2018.
Yeah, there was a handful of live streams that were done on Facebook and other platforms in 2017, but 2018 is when the YouTube channel really kind of started up. Okay.
And we still haven't perfected it.
No. Yeah, all this time we still don't know what we're doing. Tonight's topic is antennas, bonding, and grounding. Now, this is something that Dana went over on Saturday night sessions. What, about 3 weeks ago, Dana? Is that about right?
Just about right, yeah.
So we're gonna address that same topic here, and so anybody that didn't get their questions answered during Dana's net on the NGARA, we'll be right here on the GMRS side of things, and we can talk about it right here. So, and Gary says that my audio is low. Is it low according to the VU?
No, you're actually peaking a little
That's
bit.
kind of what I thought. So I'm not sure if we take it up, it might get crunchy on through the repeaters, through the links. So we're kind of at where it should be based on what I'm seeing on the VU meters.
Well, we're normally prepared and do a mic check beforehand, but
Yeah, we don't have any mics.
we got scared and we couldn't connect.
We got a Tony and a Rogers. We've even got a Dana and a Jim, but there are no mics here.
Mic.
So, all right, Jim, do you have any announcements?
Turns out that I do have some announcements.
Let's break.
Take a deep breath.
You don't have to do it all in one breath.
This week's topic on the GMRS net, antennas, bonding, and grounding. Good evening, everyone. This is WSAM 231. My name is Jim, and this week's news and announcements live from Studio Vanguard on the NGGMRS network tonight. We have a brand new North Georgia Amateur Radio Association repeater on Mount Alto near Rome, Georgia. A massive footprint with a huge expansion to the already impressive NGARA network. We hope you're excited about this activation of the newest repeater in the North Georgia region, and there's more to come. We have a tower cruise. Go ahead.
Wouldn't it have been cool to announce that on the ARA band?
It would have been. Yeah. We were planning to.
Well, to that end, we have a tower crew scheduled to install another NGARA repeater antenna next week. More information to follow when we get closer to going on the air. Tune in tomorrow night for the North Georgia GMRS Network's Friday night at 9 Simplex Challenge on the Monument repeater. Tune in to learn about emergency comms and the use of simplex frequencies. Also, beginning at 7:15, the North Georgia Amateur Radio Association's Friday night at 9 2-meter simplex challenge on the N4KHQ repeater. Come test your radio's reach in the world of simplex. Don't miss the Saturday night sessions Ham Radio Talk Group with your host Dana as he talks about tracking and communicating with ISS and decoding messages. It's very topical today now with Artemis and SpaceX going public and everything. So, excellent topic, Dana. Stay tuned this Saturday evening at 7 p.m. on any NGARA network repeater.
I noticed you didn't mention Blue Origin.
I did not mention Blue Origin. It's a little too soon for that.
I understand it's actually BLEW Origin.
Yeah, it is, absolutely, with its massive unscheduled deconstruction. Disassembly. The Peachtree Road Race, which is on 4th of July. Go ahead, Dana. Oh,
Disassembly.
Unscheduled rapid disassembly. The Peachtree Road Race on the 4th of July relies on a huge number of volunteers, including dozens of ham radio operators, to keep the event running smoothly and safely. We're in the early stages of sign-up and planning for the 2026 Northside Hospital Peachtree Road Race, the PRR, the world's largest 10K race, and yes, there's a new title sponsor. Shifts range between 4 a.m. and 11 a.m. on Saturday, the 4th of July, depending on the assignment. Positions include water stops, pace cars, shadows, start and stop finish line assignments, and call takers in the Multi-Agency Coordination Center, the MACC. Please sign up as early as possible so we know how many volunteers we'll have, which will dictate what services we can provide to the medical branch during the event. To sign up, go to the AtlantaTrackClub.com, the AtlantaTrackClub.com, and enter PRR26HAM in the password field. We got a break. We can use call takers in the MACC to answer phones and forward requests to the medical branch. If you're signing it up to be a call taker for the call taker position, use the FCC call sign call taker. Otherwise, enter any amateur or GMRS license you may have. Not sure what's involved? Check out a great video produced by the Ham Radio Prep folks over in 2024. Go to YouTube and search for Ham Radio Prep 2024 PRR on YouTube. It's a great video. All right, here's the part about food, the good stuff we've been waiting for. Pay attention, get a pencil, and put these on your calendar if you're interested. These meetups are really a great way for to meet the fellow members and people in your area and learn more about what we're doing and everything. It's a great time. The Kennesaw Gathering will have our next Meet and Geek next week, Tuesday, June 9th at noon at the Old Town Grill on Cobb Parkway, around the corner from the McClellan Airport in Kennesaw at noon. Bring your radio, your Mestastic or Mesh Core programming issues to discuss and resolve. They have a mobile test bench available after lunch, and they can test and program most popular radios or help you set up your Mestastic node. Please reach out to our friend Ed, Atlanta 557 beforehand on the air or via email at WRQG806. That's WRQG806 at gmail.com. If you're planning to attend, so that they hold enough seats and so that they can have the right programming cables and software and stuff that you need to get your radio, your Mestastic node taken care of.
Let's break.
The Chattanooga Regional Lunch June meetup will be on Saturday, June 20th, and this is a lot bigger than just a lunch. At Pops, aka Chattanooga 110's hunting camp, beside a private 2-acre fishing pond in the middle of 90 acres of woodland near Ringgold, Georgia. There's also an option to camp for the night. You can even bring your fishing pole. All are welcome, but because this is on private property, you must call Jim Chat 84. That's KO4MKP or Kilo Oscar 4 Mike Kilo Papa at Gmail to get directions and the secret handshake and more information on how to get there. Submitted by Ronnie Chat 69, Jim Chat 84, and Jonathan Chat 30. The Peachtree Corners brunch bunch meets at JR's Log House Restaurant, which is located at 6601 Peachtree Industrial Boulevard at Peachtree Corners. Peachtree Corners on top of the hill next to the bridge. Put spring into your step and join us the third Saturday of each month, noonish until 2:30 or 3 o'clock. June 20th will be our almost summer gathering, so be prepared for a tasty meal and matching up call signs with faces.
If you go there, that on top of the hill next to the bridge makes perfect sense. But until you've been there, it's really hard to conceptualize what that really means. You'll most likely drive right past their driveway.
Oh, wow.
The first time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty easy to turn around and hit it on the way back. So
Very cool.
don't be upset if you've driven past their driveway. It's a pretty stealthy driveway.
So be on the lookout for the stealthy driveway.
But Rogers doesn't have any trouble figuring it out.
No, sir.
He's a regular.
He's never driven past the driveway.
Yeah, the first couple of times I did, but I know once I get to that light, because I'm coming from the opposite direction, just slow it down. It's right here.
Yeah,
Right there.
But it
quick.
does it. Two things. It kind of sneaks up on you, and there's just enough of a roll to that hill there that you don't really see the driveway until you're right on it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's why she goes to that length to describe that it's there. But even that's not good enough.
I need
You
to
got
go
to slow
so
it
that I
down.
can-
Yeah.
so I can understand the next time I'm trying to get that line out. Okay, we're expecting possibly new attendees. We do have a new member named Ash who came as our guest in May. That's exciting. Radio enthusiasts, bring your equipment and questions. We love questions. We're glad to give whatever assistance you require. To ensure the correct number of seats, please respond by text or call out to Atlanta 849-PAMELA or Atlanta 848-ERNEST or email skygazerpamela849@gmail.com. That's skygazerpamela849@gmail.com. The next Northeast Crew Lunch will be held on Wednesday, July 24th at our usual location, Roosters in Dahlonega. We usually meet around 11 a.m. We always will. Oh wait, got a break.
When is that?
It's on June 24th at our usual location, Roosters in Dahlonega. We usually meet around 11 a.m. and we always welcome any GMRS operators, ham operators, or anyone just interested in two-way radio. It's always a good time with some good people and great food. We hope to see you there. For more information, contact Bobby, Kilo Quebec 4, Mike Juliet Lima, or Joe, Kilo Quebec 4, Mike Juliet Oscar. Hamfest on July 18th this year at the McMinn County ARC Hamfest. The location is in Athens, Tennessee. It's an ARRL Hamfest. The sponsor is the McMinn County Amateur Radio Club. The website is www.mcminnarc.com. To learn more, basically go to that website. And additionally, there's another Hamfest that's on 7/25, and that's the WCARS or WCARS Hamfest. The location is in Waynesville, North Carolina.
Where's Waynesville? Is that like part of Wayne's World?
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World.
I've never heard of it. Never heard of Waynesville.
Well, based on the fact that the sponsor is the Western Carolina Amateur Radio Society, I'd say it's somewhere in Western North Carolina. But that's just an assumption on my part. I've never been.
Smoky Mountain Event Center is where it's being held.
Yes, sir.
It's Western North Carolina, not
Eastern.
not Northern West Carolina.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, exclusively not. Their website is the WCARS, WCARS-club.org. That's it. If you have any questions or news to share, please send an email to justin@nggmrs.org.
All right. We don't have any tips this week, but what we do have is Dana is going to tell us all about antennas, bonding, and grounding. Dana, take it away.
We're going to do check-ins at one point.
Oh, we do need to do check-ins. Yeah, it's right there. It says,
I got you,
it
Dana.
says, let's go to check-in.
I got you.
Thank you.
All right, let's do that. So we're going to do the usual routine. Of course, we skipped our early check-ins, but we're gonna just do check-ins. We'll take a couple of rounds of check-ins.
I can't get.
First time
anything to
around,
work.
we're going to take any repeater other than flagship, and once we get through a couple of rounds of that, then we'll go to to flagship and all other repeaters. So if you're checking in on a flagship machine, please hold your traffic till we get some of these other repeaters in, and we'll hope to hear from all of you. So with that, let's.
I got line 6, just so you know.
All right, you got line 6. I'm going to take 7. You got 8. All right, and we'll just rotate as best we can. We've got some YouTube check-ins as well. We're going to probably come to those in time. So just if you're checking in on YouTube, just be patient. We'll come to you. At this time, let's go ahead and take check-ins from any repeater other than flagship for the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Net control standing by.
This is This is Whiskey Sierra Foxtrot Lima 995, Atlanta 1126, Joseph in Snellville, Georgia. In and out.
Oh, shit.
This is WSGK 303, Atlanta 23. This is Tom, Cartersville, Georgia. This is WSGX 490, Atlanta 194. Scott in Atlanta is checking in. This is WSIS 715, Chattanooga 51. Howard and Saudi Daisy, check me in and check me out. Thanks, y'all. Have a good night. The WSCM 494, Chattanooga 260, checking in. This is. Good evening, Net Control. This is WSJL 977, Atlanta 123, Rhino on Cheshire Bridge Road. Check me into the net, please.
This is WSKV 569, Rome 43, Cave Springs. Check me in, check me out, please.
When we come to him, we have to announce that he just got his license.
That's a good get.
New amateur or GMRS?
Amateur. He was probably waiting over there for us.
Just got it and can't use it. Dang it.
Well, I was his very first contact, and believe it or not, I'm sending him a contact card. So.
No, that's awesome to send that.
Can I have 14? Who's in 14?
You can have 14.
All right. Oh, I need 2. Sorry. I got Dan and Julia. I'm going to move down. Well, no, I need 2 lines.
Yeah,
That's
just take 16, 17.
Got it.
All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge what we have so far. We have WSMT 373 Fred in Kenton is a YouTube check-in, and I also have WSCJ 938. Is that Diane?
Yes.
Diane? Is that
Diane?
all right, Diane, and that's also
She didn't give
an
me a
amateur call.
they didn't put a location down, so.
Kilo Lima 4 Lima Mike. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes.
Or is that Kilo
Mike.
India? Is that that's an India, isn't it?
Well.
Yeah. Kilo India 4 India Mike. We almost had Kilo Mike 4 Delta Charlie.
Yeah.
But he got anxious. So
well,
he's, you know.
Hey.
But we'll get him. We'll get him on the air. We'll get him. From the airways, we heard from Atlanta 1126. That would be Joseph in Snellville, in and out. We've got Atlanta 23 Tom in Cartersville. We've got you marked as in. Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
How do you say that? Chattanooga?
Chattanooga.
I got Chattanooga 260 Colt in the welcome mat capital of.
I thought it was Area Rug.
Area Rug.
Area
Welcome
Rug.
mat.
Something.
And Mud Flaps.
Mud Flaps. There we go.
All right.
But Colt's in tonight. We got to Atlanta 403. Bobby in Cleveland. He's unable to participate on the air, but he reached out to me. I told him I'd check him in by way of relay. So we're going to show Bobby as in and out. We've got Atlanta 194 Scott in Atlanta. I've got you marked as in. Chattanooga 51 Howard and Saudi Daisy in and out. Atlanta 123 Rhino in Atlanta is in tonight. And Rhino, just a quick note. If you would please send me an email, and it can just say anything. Just put like anything in the subject
Really
line.
anything.
Anything. but send that to me at justin@nggmrs.org. I wanted to reach out to you and have a conversation. So we'll start it off that way, and then we'll exchange numbers and that sort of thing. Rome 43, Bill in Cave Springs, is in and out, but it's my understanding he was looking forward to an ARA net tonight because he's a brand new amateur. So that's very cool. Congratulations, Bill. Glad that you've got both licenses. And also on YouTube, we've got Atlanta 164 Dan in Marietta, as well as Atlanta 165 Julia in Marietta. And we have Rome 12 Mark is in Rome. Is he in Rome?
I don't know that he's in Rome. He might be in Noonan.
He's somewhere.
He's on the interwebs.
Yeah, he's somewhere out there in the ether. So Mark is another YouTube check-in. Let's break. All right, and with that, let's continue with the check-ins from any repeater anywhere, including the flagship machine. Net control standing by.
This is net control. This is 100 WRYZ
Is it Randall?
968 Randall in Buford. Go ahead and check me in and check me out.
Oops.
Have a great net, everyone.
All right, who's got the next one?
This is WRBG 415 Atlanta 11 John and Ken. Please check me in and out.
He actually checked in last week. Okay. But
This is WSMS 551, Atlanta 128, Gary in Woodstock. I'm mobile, so please check me in and out.
Yeah. All right,
This is
I'll put the next one here.
WSLT 858 Atlanta 90, Bob out of Woodstock. Check me in, check me out.
This is WQUV 439, Atlanta 780, Houston, Austell. Check me in and out, please, sir. Y'all have a great net. This is WSFH 294, Gainesville 420, Deacon Oakwood. Check me in, check me out. This is WSMD 525, Atlanta 151, Russell in Dawsonville. In and out. My apologies.
Dana's not on YouTube. Why'd you check YouTube?
Well, he's not here.
It's coming to us over the interwebs.
Yeah, it's a virtual Dana.
Virtual data?
All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge we've got Gainesville 100. That would be Randall in Buford. Got you marked as in, so we'll come to you here in a little bit. Also, we've got Atlanta 11 John in Canton is in and out. Atlanta 90 Bob in Woodstock. Unfortunately, Bob, I have to apologize. I spelled your first name backwards. Atlanta 128 Gary in Woodstock, in and out. Atlanta 780 Houston in Austell, in and out. Gainesville 420 Nick in Oakwood, in and out. Atlanta 151 Russell in Cumming, in and out. And we've got two more here on YouTube check-ins, we've got the WRWK895 Atlanta 250. That would be Dana, virtual Dana in,
Well, he's in space.
He's in
Dahlonega.
space. That's right. He's in space.
He's already a spaceship.
That's right. Yeah. Is that a Blue Origin craft? That
No,
you're,
he's all in one piece.
that you're in? That you're
Hopefully
in,
not,
Dana?
right?
No. They got some tweaking to do on that.
Yeah, I think that was a problem. Too many
I
tweakers.
assume one of those exploded today. Is that what happened? You guys
Oh
keep
no!
talking
Yeah,
about?
a few days ago it was an epic explosion.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah,
it
it shook the ground.
All
for
of us
miles.
don't follow that, so you might fill some of us other nerds in.
Oh, it was
that.
epic. It wasn't.
It
It
was
may
an
have been the
epic-
largest
yeah.
explosion recorded.
Really?
Yeah.
Big
bad.
fireball.
The whole thing right there at
Yeah.
the launch. It was
I don't know how I
spectacular.
missed that.
And finally on YouTube we have WRZL381. David is in Pennsylvania. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, David.
And appreciate everybody else that's checked in, not knowing where we're at and what band we're on, and
yeah.
what we're doing.
Do we know where we're at or what band we're on?
I know. I'm just here. Finally taking a breath.
Well, you know, just when you think we've got it all together, it all just kind of unravels.
Doesn't it?
And you know,
I want to know if this was intentional on somebody's
But we
part.
handle it with
Did we
such grace.
forget to link a certain repeater and
No,
Vanguard?
so there were. So
Are you
behind-
sure? Because we know we posted a couple pictures a few weeks ago of somebody that might have control over that.
Well, behind the scenes, we've done some updates to the core network,
Right.
and in that we have renumbered the core servers,
Right.
and so I think that we just don't have the right settings in the amateur radio core servers
Or did
To-
they not give
to-
you permission to have
to let
access to
Vanguard
them?
in. Well, I mean, it looks like that my login still works. So,
Oh, okay. Well,
but you
But
know
we
that's not
handled it with
that's
such
not
grace.
beyond. What'd you say, Dana?
I said, but we handled it with such grace. I mean,
absolutely flawless.
yeah, wasn't
Yeah.
it though?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I-
Grace is the right word.
I.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure Grace was here tonight, but if anybody's seen her, tell her that
We could use
she's,
some help.
She's left the scene of the crime. Let's take a break. All right, we've got a pretty good lineup, but I think there's still room for more. So let's take another round of check-ins here from any repeater, anywhere. And if you don't make it in, we'll take another final round of check-ins before we close tonight. But for now, let's go ahead and one more round of check-ins. Any repeater, anywhere. Net control, standing by.
And all the haste.
WSLI 600, ATL 162 Mark in Marietta, checking in and checking out.
You got the next one? Hey, I just texted a photo. If you could figure out how to get that on the screen, we'll talk about it.
Well, that's my problem. The ones that Jim sent me, I'm like, how am I getting them there?
That's
So
I
I'm-
meant to bug you
I'm-
about that tonight about how to best get pictures to you.
I'm gonna
Usually
email
a
that
thumb
to
drive,
myself. If you can open up my email, then maybe you can get it that
Can
way.
you do that real quick to email it to him?
All right.
Because
Oh, you know what? I can't email it. I'm sorry.
you can't.
I cannot.
Wrong phone.
Yeah, there's no email set up on this phone yet.
All right. Well, let
Okay,
me.
we didn't hear any additional check-ins, so by not hearing any additional check-ins, I guess that we've got it all. If you didn't get a chance to get checked in, we'll take a final round of check-ins before we close the program, and we'll also open the floor for any questions or comments. So if you're listening in and you've got a question that pops up along the way, that you don't hear anybody else ask, you can save it, and then when we open up for questions and comments, you can chime in with your question at that time. You just say comment and throw us your TAC number and or your first name, and we'll call on you to get your question over the air, and we'll see if we can get some answers. Now, tonight we're talking about antennas, bonding, and grounding. And generally, when we talk about that, we're really kind of focused more on base antenna installs. But bonding and grounding is also a thing in mobile installs. Bonding and grounding is not so much a thing in handy-talkies, HTs, walkie-talkies, portable radios, except it is.
Mm-hmm.
So your grounding kind of happens capacitively as you're holding the radio. So the best way to operate an HT is to hold it straight up and down with a firm grip, with your hand encompassing as much of the radio as you can get your fingers around, and that improves the capacitive coupling. So if you're holding the radio in a weird way, and two fingers, or if you're holding it sideways or upside down, all kinds of things that you can do that are not expected by the manufacturer when you're handling a handy-talkie. You can affect its performance not only because you mess up the polarization, but also because you don't capacitively couple to the radio effectively, and you can affect its propagation in that way. So just hold the radio like you should. Keep it upright, and get your fingers around as much of the body as you can, and that will help to generate a counterpoise for your antenna system and get the best performance that your handy-talkie can do.
No, absolutely. Even some people who do the SOTA on 2 meter take it so far as to take out one of the screws in the back of their radio that's attached to the frame and put a quarter-wave piece of wire on there as a counterpoise.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds a little bit like voodoo to me as far as it really being effectual, but they are designed to use your body's capacitance as the counterpoise, and so that's exactly right. They do not behave the same on your desk in a charger as they do whenever you're holding it in your hand. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you may have noticed too, like if you're putting the radio on your desk in a charger and you're trying to monitor with it, that it hears much better once you pick it up, and that's part of the reason why, because your antenna system, your body is part of the antenna system, and so that capacitive coupling that happens when you pick that radio up doesn't happen when that radio is sitting on the desk, and so your receive sensitivity can be affected by that. And that's why sometimes the radio doesn't receive as well when you set it down. So good stuff. But moreover, back into mobile installs. Oh, let's break. With regard to mobile installs, grounding and bonding is kind of you're mounting an antenna to the body of the car in one way or another, whether it's a mag mount, whether it's like a lip mount or a fixture mount of some sort, or if you're screwing that antenna through an NMO mount through a hole in your body. However you're doing that, ideally you're going to want to scrape away some of the paint where your connector attaches to the vehicle so that you can get a good electrical connection to that metal. But then people worry about, well, what if I make a rust spot because of doing that? There's things that you can do to kind of protect from that. You can use some dielectric grease.
Yep.
To cover that bare metal, and then when you tighten down your connector, it'll bite through that dielectric grease. The dielectric grease will keep the oxygen off of. Oh, that's nice. Okay, the dielectric grease will keep the oxygen off the metal and keep it from corroding, and you still can get a good bite on that to get that ground there. So the question I see a lot of times is, do I need to run a ground wire from my mount, from my mobile radio mount back to the battery or back to the body somewhere? And yeah, probably, maybe. But the reality is, in the installs that I've been a part of myself, grounding has been adequate without doing that. And in particular, I really expected to need to run a separate ground when I mounted my antennas on the lumber rack of the other pickup truck that I had. But in practice, I found that I got pretty decent performance without doing that. So you are achieving some level of ground right through the mount. You are achieving most of your ground through the antenna coax. Now that's a higher impedance ground path, but it is a ground path, and it will effectively work to isolate your antenna signal, your center conductor. It'll protect it from noise, and it'll keep your signal intact as it moves to the radiating element. So you can get away most of the time without having to run a separate ground wire. If you're finding that you have performance issues, chances are that you didn't get a good bite into the metal when you installed your NMO, or when you installed the clamp mount onto the lumber rack bar, or maybe your lumber rack's not very well grounded. So in those cases, you may need to go ahead and run a separate ground wire. Results are going to vary in almost every circumstance. Every installation is going to be unique in that there's no one answer that addresses every installation. But the roots of antennas, grounding, and bonding, I think what most people run into questions and have concerns for is bonding and grounding an antenna system that you're installing on your base radio. Let's break. And so let's face it, you put an antenna up on a mast beside your house, or on a tripod stand, and you attach that to the roof of your house, or if you attach a mast to your chimney and you run that coax into your attic or under your eaves, through a window, however you bring that coax inside, you have just created a path for static electricity and for a lightning strike to come right into your house. You've just invited the demon right into the interior part of your house, and the danger in that is real.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, the likelihood that you're going to take a lightning strike doesn't really change, but the fact that you've put a conductor up there that goes right into some very sensitive electronics is just an invitation for disaster. So what are some of the things that we should do to mitigate against that? Primarily, it's grounding. And what you want to achieve in that circumstance is you want to achieve a low impedance path to ground through that antenna mast and through the antenna system, so that if it does take any kind of a strike, whether it be a direct strike or an inductive strike, because lightning can energize wires even if it doesn't touch them. And that's what we call induction. All right, so if you have a high current strike that happens a few hundred feet from the house, it's going to generate a magnetic field, and as that magnetic field collapses, it's going to induce electricity in just about anything that's metal. And the wires in your house, you can get a surge from that. But if you're bringing that antenna lead into your house, it's going to take that surge and it's going to pass that right into your sensitive electronics. But if we're properly grounded, an inductive strike might not do any damage, because what we want to do is we want to give that energy an easy path to follow to get from wherever it's been picked up into the ground and complete that circuit and bypass our sensitive electronics. And we can achieve that if we're using the right lightning arresters and proper grounding. And when you look at commercial radio installations, these things are out there in the weather 24/7, and they take lightning strikes, and sometimes it blows up a gear, but most of the time these stations stay on the air regardless of the weather, regardless of conditions outside. No one goes out there and disconnects antennas because the wind is blowing. And sometimes that's really all it takes. It doesn't have to be a thunderstorm. Sometimes wind, even a light breeze, can be enough to generate static electricity and create a damaging discharge into your electronics. So a couple of things that we're looking at here is not only we're dealing with grounding, but we're also dealing with proper lightning protection in the way of a polyphaser or the equivalent, some sort of a lightning arrestor. Let's break. So that you can properly discharge that high energy from your center conductor into ground. And typically the way that those work is, they're highly resistant to moderate voltages, but when they see a high voltage, they'll break down and they'll pass that voltage directly to ground. Oftentimes that's just a destructive thing where the lightning arrestor is destroyed in the process, but I'd rather replace a lightning arrestor than have to replace a radio. So if after a storm your radio is performing very poorly and your SWR has gone through the roof, it could be a lightning arrestor. So
Absolutely.
that's something to consider. Polyphasers are expensive enough that we don't really want to have them laying around, but I recommend whatever lightning arrestor you use, make sure you have a spare, so that if you do take a hit, you can get back on the air right away. So, are we ready with that photograph? This is
Hang on.
exciting.
So you want a photograph? Let me find it again.
Oh, you lost the photograph?
Well, I put polyphasers up because you were talking about them, and now.
Oh,
So you just can't do that to me all the time. Takes me a second to pull it back up. There you go. Now we got it up. There's your pick.
all right. So there's the pick. What that is in the back of that pickup truck is an antenna that's going to meet a tower crew tomorrow morning, and that's going to go up.
Outstanding.
Yeah. So
at a secret location.
it's at a secret location. It's let me see if I can find. I'm not going to find a text message in Teams. There it is. Headed to the new site in the morning. So that location will be on the air very soon. I'm trying to remember which one it is.
No, we're on the wrong band, but what band is that antenna for?
Oh, that is a 440 antenna for the amateur radio band.
Okay.
So it
The
looks
band
just,
we're supposed to be on.
yeah, it looks just
Yep.
like a GMRS antenna. And what's cool about this antenna is that it's basically a bunch of elements that stick out of a big, almost 20-foot long aluminum mast. So,
Right.
and what you get out of that big aluminum mast is a direct connection to the structure, to the tower.
Right.
So if that antenna takes a lightning strike, it's already the lowest impedance path to ground through the mast of that antenna. The elements are a higher impedance path for the electricity to take. So the electricity in a lightning strike is going to want to follow the mast into the structure of the tower and follow the grounding of the tower. And most of that energy is going to go right straight to ground without ever going into the bungalow.
Now I don't trust YouTube comments all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but this one might be pretty credible. He said, no, it's a 2-meter antenna.
Oh, that's a 2-meter antenna?
Well, a gentleman named Gary says it is.
All right. Did he say
On
where?
YouTube's.
Did he say where it's going?
No, he didn't. We need a
Roger.
break.
Roger says we need a break.
we
Let's
need-
break.
I can guess, but I'm not saying.
I don't
Yeah,
know nothing.
Remember, we're on the air when we're not on the air.
Exactly. Yeah. Just
So that-
because you don't
Just
have a
call-
PTT button doesn't mean we're live.
That's right. We will
Just
be.
call me Schultz.
So we will be announcing that location once it goes live. But it's exciting to see that another North Georgia Amateur Radio Association repeater coming very, very soon. So they're going to get that antenna installed tomorrow, and then
It says it's the only 2-meter site we will have.
okay. I knew that we had coordination on one of the 2-meter sites, and I think that's going to be on the southern portion of our network.
Right.
But I'm not absolutely for sure about that. So I could be
We're
mistaken.
coming so close.
Yeah. So look for an announcement in the next few days. It'll take, once the antenna is up and the hard line is installed, there's still more work to do in the shelter. So once that bungalow work gets finished, then that unit will be coming up on the air. We'll be making announcements, and we're excited to see yet another machine go live. So that's very cool. All right, and we were talking about bonding and grounding. So we talked a lot about the grounding and what that's for, the bonding part of this. So one thing that's very important in grounding is that we don't have a variance in potential for different grounding circuits. So, and what can happen is if you have all of your antenna system is grounded through ground rods that are dedicated to that antenna system, but you don't bond that to your household electrical system ground. Now we've plugged in our power supplies and our radios to the household current, so that's at a different ground potential than our grounding system for the antenna. And if we take a strike, then we're going to energize one of those grounds. So what that basically means is instead of your ground being at a 0 volt level, it's going to be at a voltage something other than 0. You're going to raise the reference for that ground. And because it's not electrically bonded to the household ground, now you have a difference in potential between those two grounds, and the path for that difference in potential is going to be through your radio.
Oh, I wish I brought the pictures of that because it burned all of my radio's shapes into the desk.
That's fantastic.
I did exactly what you said. Just to make sure that it was quiet, I had a 4-foot grounding rod, but I had not considered bonding. I didn't research it because I thought I know everything. And so I hooked it all up. And the 4-foot grounding rod doesn't have the same ground as the house ground. So what the static electricity from the lightning bolt did was go through my radios, through the laptops, all the TVs in the house, security system, everything, blew all that to get to the house ground. Now, I have a parallel impedance measured ground right outside of there that has a naked 6-gauge wire to the house ground outside of the house with no sharp angles or turns, exactly as watching all the electricians explaining it on YouTube. Don't think you know how to do this. Believe me, it was a very, very expensive mistake on my part, so I'm just giving this up as a cautionary tale.
Let's break.
I have more and more comment from Gary.
He should come on the air if he's got all these comments. So.
His comment was, after this site goes online, we're headed to another site July 1st.
Well, that's not far.
So he's
not far at all.
He's knocking them out.
All right.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. I think I know
on the
where
network we're supposed to be on.
Yeah, right. I think I know where the site is on July 1st, and that's also a very exciting site. I'm anxious to make that announcement. So we get some really cool things happening on the ARA side of the fence, and nice to see that footprint growing and that coverage filling in. So very cool stuff. So back to the bonding. That's the importance of bonding. Is if we do take any kind of an electrical induction charge into our grounding system, we want to be sure that voltage, that potential is the same across the entire grounding system so that we don't have a path from one ground to another. Does that make sense, Tony? You following any of that?
Absolutely. Yes, it makes perfect sense.
I'm going to have to get out the crayons later and show him what we're talking about. All right. So with that, I think let's go ahead and that's the grounding and bonding lesson in as abbreviated a form, I think, as we can make it. But I'm sure there's questions and comments out there from people's experiences and things of that nature. I wish Houston were in because I'd love to hear his story. He took a lightning strike, but his lightning strike didn't enter through his radio system or through his antennas. His lightning strike hit the roof, traveled down the trim on the gable end of the house, went into the gutters, and started a fire in his attic.
Wow. That's dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do about something like that? Do you have to ground your gutters?
No, you're right.
I mean, that's really a bizarre circumstance, and I think it's really unique.
Yeah.
And so I would love to have, I tell you, if you catch Houston on the air, ask him that story because he's got a great story. It is a unique situation. And it just goes to show all the precautions that we do take are important to do. We don't really want to discount them, but when it comes to a direct strike, nothing really matters.
Nothing's going to save you.
Even on the railroad, we find radio locations that get blown up. You take a direct strike, and there's just not. A lot of times, the lightning protection will take the hit, and it'll vaporize. It'll destroy itself. Mm-hmm. But sometimes the lightning protection isn't enough, and it will take equipment with it. So, we've got.
Gary had one more question. He had a question this time.
No.
Let's take a break.
Oh, yeah, let's take a break.
And everybody on YouTube could see the question, but he says, if I use AAA bonding, will I be safe from lightning?
Well, if you use AAA bonding, I would...
Does he need bonding?
I would venture to say that you've already been unsafe.
Exactly. You might be in trouble already.
You might be in trouble already. Chances are you are. But AAA bonding would be highly recommended if you ever found yourself
In need of a bondsman.
at the Gray Jail Inn, the Gray Bar Inn, yeah. If you need a bondsman, he's your guy.
And this is where we pop into an ad for CV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ad placement later.
Yeah, I'll be looking for that donation CV. So we're gonna have to talk. Well, we can do this over
I
and
think
over
he's
again.
donated
so.
enough, hasn't he?
Well, maybe. Well, yeah, he's donated all that money to NGGMRS. So, yeah, and the cookout. The man, I have to wonder how much he puts into the cookouts and the meals that he's prepared for members.
Right.
He's.
I know. I've heard a lot of people asking about when it's going to be. So hopefully we can.
Well, there's going to be one. There's no doubt about it. It's not that we. Here's the bottom line: is the last thing we want to do is put on an event that turns into a disaster,
Right.
and we have vehicles that are stuck, and we're having to bring tow trucks out, and maybe somebody gets hurt or something gets damaged. That's not fun.
No.
So, and we don't really want to get into that scenario. And that was the concern, was that the ground could be very soft. Now, we didn't get as much rain as we really thought
As
we
they
were going
predicted
to.
we were going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we got enough rain that calling it off at that time was the right move. So, I don't know when for sure the cookout's going to be. The picnic at Flagship is going to happen sometime this summer. We might have some other events happening at Flagship. There's been some conversation. So stay tuned. You may have other opportunities to come on up to Flagship and have a visit, and so we'll see what develops. But there definitely will be a picnic at some point later in the summer, perhaps even into sometime in the fall. But we definitely need to be past this rainy season that we've had, and it rained every day for the last 2 weeks, except for yesterday and today.
Right.
But And Julie was, she's been out of town for a couple of weeks, and she's like, "You be sure and water my flowers, and you make sure all my plants are watered."
Did you forget?
And I haven't had to water anything
Oh,
the
okay.
whole time that she was gone, because
You hadn't had it done it, or you forgot to
I
do
haven't needed to,
Okay.
because that was the rule. If it rains, I'm off the hook, and well, it rained at least some every day.
it?
So
That's your story, and you're sticking to it.
yeah, well, plants are alive, so
Good enough.
no thanks to me. All right, let's break, and then we'll go to the top of the roster, see if anybody has any questions or comments. All right, it looks like Atlanta 2-3. Tom in Cartersville is first in the roster. Tom, do you have any questions or comments for antennas, bonding, and grounding, whether it be an HT or a mobile or a base station? What kind of a setup do you have? Atlanta 2-3. Tom in Cartersville, are you with us? All right, we're going to move on, and next in the roster is Chattanooga 260 Colt. There is no ground in Dalton, is there?
A lot
It's
of
car-
rock. I think there's
There's
a lot
a-
of rock, right?
A lot of rug.
And carpet.
Rock.
A lot of rug.
Lot of rug.
Lot
Yeah,
of
rug's
rug?
not good for grounding.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's hard to
Well, I
ground
guess
on
if it has the metal fibers in the rug, it might help. Right?
Yeah, that would be good. Colt, what have you got for us?
It's Chattanooga 260 here, WSCM 494, coming to you from the area rug carpet capital of the world. Talking about lightning strikes. It sucks to suck, as we would say. I have a special insurance policy on my stuff that's very itemized. It's called an inland marine policy because I've had bad things happen, either break-ins, lightning or whatever else. And when you start putting in those professional grade apparatus and the power of heavens come to be, things happen. Act of God happens. So I have a very special policy. It's called an inland marine insurance policy. I itemize, list every item I have is insured on that is pre-insured. So if something was to happen, something was to hit, I don't have to worry about fighting the insurance company. I get a full 100% payout. A little bit of expensive. That being said, there's a lot of items that I own, and it would be quite disastrous if I actually took another hit. That being said, we'll leave you with some words of wisdom from the Carpet Capital. Let me break. When installing an area rug or carpet, make sure the carpet matches the drapes. Otherwise, it doesn't work very well. Back to you, Net Control.
Well done.
Could be problems.
All right. Yeah. Moving
Right along. Okay.
I think that's a great idea, though. An insurance policy, and you can get a rider for just about anything these days.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably worth talking to your agent, unless it's Geico. They're not worth talking to at all. Progressive is questionable.
Are there any good ones?
Actually, State Farm did a real good job with mine when they blew out. They sent out a lightning protection,
Which is
lightning
really surprising
expert.
to me.
No, they really took care of me.
Did you have a rider in there with that, or did
No,
they
and
know
they
you
reminded
had
me
equipment?
that they won't be doing that again.
Ah.
That'd be a condition. So I found out on the on QRZ, ARRL has insurance policy for your radio also, and obviously it's attached to the expense of the radio and stuff, but it was not very expensive.
Yeah, so I think that's probably worth looking at, and of course a simple conversation with your agent about a rider or I think called that an inland marine policy.
Mm-hmm.
That's just one company's name for what that is, but we have an umbrella policy that we've added in with our insurance. I think it costs, I don't know, it's maybe $100 a year, maybe it's not even that much. But basically what that does is that changes my liability coverage from whatever the policy would have been to that plus $1 million. All right, so if somebody gets hurt because and here's the deal. Years ago I was involved in an accident, and it was ruled as my fault. I was cited for the accident. And the family that was involved in that accident, I never really got to know anybody or talk to anybody firsthand, but they sued me. And my insurance company paid it, and I guess the way that works is, so when an accident like that happens, the people that are insured will go to their insurance company, and their insurance company might make a settlement with them. And so if that settlement is within the limits of your policy, then you're golden. But if that insurance company settles with them for something beyond what your insurance policy coverages are, they will sue you for the difference.
Wow.
And you'll be on the hook for that personally.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I know how much damage was done in that accident? I'm assuming the car may have been damaged. Now, the amount was $50,000. So fortunately, my coverage covered that amount, and it never became a problem. But what if there had been $75,000 damage in that incident? And if it were legitimately that the car was destroyed, that somebody was injured, that hospital bills were involved, maybe there was some pain and suffering, how do you know how much coverage to have? Well, $1 million ought to cover. I mean, if somebody is hurt seriously, that ought to be enough to cover most circumstances. Let's break. And so even though I wasn't on the hook for anything additional through that incident, which was many, many, many years ago, since then, we have always maintained that umbrella policy, just because I don't want to be in a situation where I've hurt someone and I can't do anything about it.
Right.
Or it turns into a lawsuit, and now my property, my assets, my personal belongings become exposed to forfeiture because of something like that. So just having minimum coverage on your car might or might not be okay.
Right.
So
That could be an expensive cost savings.
And yeah, it really could be. But that's the other part of that is, if you've got nothing, if you don't have any, if the car's all you got, and you're a renter and you don't have a lot of personal stuff, and maybe that's fine. But as soon as you begin to accumulate some assets,
right,
you do want to be sure that you've got those assets protected adequately. So I'm a big believer in I hate paying for insurance, and I think insurance in Georgia is ridiculously high. It's roughly 3 times what it costs to insure a vehicle in Indiana. So it's crazy expensive here. But I never really think about what can I do to get out of paying insurance. I do look at, can I get this kind of coverage for less?
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you, we've been in situations too. There was a time when I was holding the same insurance coverage that a friend of mine had, and he was involved in an accident, and he had so much difficulty getting that company to pay claims that I dropped him.
Wow. Just precautionary.
I don't want to be in that situation.
Right.
If I need to be covered, I need the claims to actually be paid, and not have to threaten lawyers and stuff like that to be made whole. So that's another thing to consider. So good points, Colt. I appreciate that. And I suppose if the carpet has some sort of a,
because they make that material that's got wire mesh in
No,
it.
I've got it in my car, the Faraday carpet. I use
Faraday
it
carpet.
as a ground plane, which we
There
didn't
you
really
go.
go down that path about the importance of ground planes, but we don't do temporary setups out there without a good ground plane. You would never get a usable SWR.
okay. All
So-
right.
Nice.
Ground plane's everything.
Yeah, well, yeah. And when the plane's in the air, it's not really a ground plane anymore.
No, then it's not a ground
No,
plane
it's
anymore.
it's
just a
an
plane
airplane.
Airplane. Yeah, there we go.
Hey.
All right.
It's that kind of show we're doing.
Yes,
Just breaking out the dad jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Atlanta 194, Scott in Atlanta. Do you have any questions or comments for tonight's net? And, what are your thoughts with regards to protection from lightning? Like I say, I think Colt's idea was a really good one because there's some things you just can't mitigate against.
Correct.
No.
A direct strike is really gonna blow stuff up regardless of your grounding.
Right.
Scott, what have you got for us?
Hi, this is Atlanta 194, WSGX 490. Yes, I'm happy to announce, first of all, that I got my ham ticket at the end of April, and then I upgraded to general in mid-May. So now I'm a new ham, and I've got a lot of questions. And I think one of the questions I'd like to ask about is if you're trying to hide an antenna in the attic because of the HOA, you still have to think about grounding. You still have to think about bonding. Let me break. Okay, so so if you're going to put an antenna inside the roof, inside the roof, under the roof because of the HOA requirements, I would think that you would still have to think about grounding. I'd like to get some advice on that if possible. Back to net control.
Well, that's an interesting point, and it's actually a fairly common install. People putting, especially with GMRS antennas perform reasonably well in an attic. And of course, there is going to be some diminishing in performance based on the obstruction with the roofing materials and stuff. But truthfully, you can really get through that, especially if you're using a higher gain antenna. So that's a fairly common install, and it's also fairly common to think, well, I'm not exposed to the wind, so I'm not going to have static electricity. I'm not exposed to the lightning because I got stuff above me. Well, a lightning strike doesn't necessarily have to be a direct strike to be very damaging. You can have a strike that's several hundred feet away, and it'll, when that lightning strike occurs, it's going to create a magnetic field around that strike. And what happens when that magnetic field collapses, it induces electrical currents in everything that might be metallic, in your car, in your tools in the garage, in your lawnmower, in everything, in the wires in your house, and in the wires in your antenna system. And so you'll have a voltage that becomes induced into all of those objects. Now, in your car, all of those voltages kind of nullify themselves almost instantly and do virtually nothing. Same thing with if it were a lawnmower or a motorcycle or something of that nature. You're going to have a massive amount of current that flows through the body of and frame of those vehicles, and it's going to almost instantly dissipate itself, creating its own magnetic field, which will collapse, which will induce current in other metallic things that are nearby, and that will cascade throughout your area. But every time that happens, the strength and intensity diminishes tremendously. It's that first strike, that first bolt, that really does that has the kick to it. So if you have an antenna in your attic and you have a lightning strike several hundred feet away, maybe at your neighbor's house or maybe at the neighbor's property or backyard or across the street or whatever it might be, you still run the risk of having a surge come down your coax and into your antenna. So I still recommend that we follow all of the same grounding principles and procedures. So we want to create a very low impedance path to ground. And
Hey, Justin.
you go ahead.
I think many folks out there are under the impression that if they put it in their attic and they're attaching it to 2x4 or some sort of wood framing, that they are null and void from being at any risk. And that is totally false, because lightning, if the bolt is strong enough, will follow wood. It will not just,
Yeah, so it's
not a movement.
It's
I'm
not
sorry?
really even the lightning strike. It's that magnetic field, right? So when you that current through that strike is traveling to the ground, from the ground, however that lightning is propagating, that movement of those electrons is going to create a field. Let's break. We've timed out. It's going to create a magnetic field because we're moving electricity through a conductor. And that's really how electricity and wires work, right? Whenever you move electricity through a conductor, you create a magnetic field. So in this case, the conductor is our atmosphere. We've ionized a trail through the atmosphere, and we're pushing a very high current charge through that ionized path, that conductive path through our atmosphere. And so we're going to have a magnetic field as a result. And it's that magnetic field, doesn't have to touch, doesn't have to be even really all that close to a metallic object to energize it. So even though the wood is relatively insulating electrically, it doesn't matter, because the wood is not going to impede a magnetic field. Now, what could impede the magnetic field would be a properly engineered Faraday cage.
Yep. But then your radio is going to have a real problem.
Yeah, and if we're operating inside of a Faraday cage, our signal's not going to propagate anywhere at all. So you have to get your signal, you have to get your antenna outside of that protected Faraday area in order for any performance to happen. So, and the whole science behind Faraday protection, Faraday lightning protection, the EMP stuff, all of that science is really fascinating. Bear in mind that there's very little actual research that's been done. Most of it is theoretical. So trust as much as you'd like, but I think that if you're putting all of your chips in a Faraday bag, you might be disappointed in results.
It might be stale.
They could be. They could be.
So Mark, our friend up there, Mark Avery, he found a cell phone app that tests your phone's ability to signal radio waves, and it's specifically to test to see if your little Faraday cage is working. And after he got that app, put his phone into his Faraday cage, it was not working. In fact, he had to go to 4 or 5 layers, and remember, he builds power plants, but he stayed after it, and it became an impressive thing that keeps all the radio waves out. And we want to keep most of them out, so that's one thing, but to actually achieve a true Faraday cage is harder than just throwing some of that metallic cloth around your radio and say, oh, it's good now. No,
or one of those
really
very expensive bags you see for sale.
Yeah.
You
Or
never know.
the trash can, the metal trash can one. There's a lot of plans for that on YouTube and stuff, but it's involved.
My whole life, I've been suspicious of microwave ovens in that glass door.
Right.
How do the microwaves know not to go through those holes? How does that? I mean,
the holes in the grid.
Yeah, in the window there. I have trust issues with that. I love the air fryer because I don't have to worry about the microwaves.
Correct.
There you go.
So that's in a nutshell, Scott. My thoughts with regards to grounding in an attic installed antenna. I think it's very important that we follow many of the same rules.
It's very dry up there. You get a lot of static, or just like, I don't know what you call it, nor just from the dry air and all that, just static discharge that way, don't you too?
Potentially. Let's break. Yeah, but usually that requires also movement. So in most attics, not all. I mean, some attics are going to have some air movement that could energize a static charge in your antenna system. And that can be just as destructive as a lightning strike. So the static electricity can accumulate to many tens or even hundreds of thousands of volts. And when that discharges, that's when chips and electrical components and stuff fail because they can't deal with those kind of voltages. So there again, a properly grounded antenna system can help dissipate those static charges before they build up to anything significant, and keep your system protected from those kind of damages as well. Do you have anything else, Scott? Did we answer your question, or did we just make more questions?
Thanks. That is helpful. It's a good place to start. I guess I understand pretty well about lightning going everywhere it can, and not just at the path of least resistance. As my house was struck by lightning back in 2021, and I took a hit personally on my wrist. And fortunately, I'm still able to talk about it. But I do think about lightning. I guess I've had that experience. Back to net control.
Yeah, I tell you, that would be remarkable to have personally experienced a lightning strike.
I had got zapped one night walked out the back door, was holding the doorknob, and it hit like a block away, and I felt it was just like somebody pinching me.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't very, I was like, oh, I felt that.
Yeah.
So it can travel pretty far too. So.
And so when you think about the physics behind that, Tony, so you have a lightning strike that's a block or two, or a couple hundred yards away,
right?
And that doesn't do anything. That you didn't feel that electricity,
right?
That's not what you experienced. What you experienced was the electricity that was generated because you were touching something metal, and the magnetic field that was created by that lightning strike collapsed and induced a current in that door handle.
Okay.
And that was the zing that you felt.
Yeah.
And and that's very real. And that could be, it could be tens of volts, could be hundreds of volts, or could be thousands of volts. And there's almost no current there.
Right.
But it's that voltage that is going to be destructive and potentially painful. So consider how big a door handle is, and how much metal is in that. Whether or not it was attached to a metal door or wood door, kind of doesn't matter. All of that comes into play as part of that electrical generation that occurs when that magnetic field collapses. So that's the thing that we really have to be protecting ourselves against. And so I'm glad to know that you survived that lightning experience. There's a handful of us that have. Even Gary, Atlanta 60, has experienced lightning damage at his personal shack. All the proper grounding that you could ever think of to do,
right,
except the camera system.
They found a door.
Yeah.
Had a wired camera system.
Yep.
And a camera that was mounted outside, and the current followed that camera wire back in and smoked his shack.
I mean, years ago, I've seen a old telephone, a wired telephone line below the telephone off the wall.
Off the wall,
the room,
right.
Off the wall.
Because it hit the pole down the street.
Oh, yeah, they used to
like
tell
that.
us not to be on the phone during a thunderstorm.
I mean, I think
dangerous.
really nowadays, a lot of people have a landline anymore anyway, but we have cable. A lot of people have copper cable still come to the house for cable TV or internet, so it can come in anywhere.
No, that's the magic of fiber, right?
Yep.
True.
So
It's
coming
gonna
from
blow
the
it apart.
Coming from the railroad industry, one of the things that I learned is that anytime a wire enters or leaves a structure, it has to have lightning protection.
Right.
So you don't run an Ethernet cable out of the house to the tiki bar
Right.
without having lightning protection
Right.
on it where it comes into the house. Let's break.
Right.
Well, have you looked at lightning protection for an Ethernet cable?
It's not. They're proud of it.
Yeah, they are.
They're very proud of it.
100, 125, $130
per socket.
It's like a Ethernet polyphaser kind of thing.
Yep.
So I didn't really want to do that. I probably spent more money being smart,
Right.
ish. So to run Ethernet out here to Vanguard from the house, we run it in fiber optic because lightning doesn't travel electricity doesn't travel through glass very well.
Not very well.
So, so the internet connectivity between Vanguard and the router that's in the house, and the internet connectivity from the house out to Studio B, which now has internet, it's all fiber. So that bypasses the need for the conventional polyphaser style lightning protection, and protects the equipment at both ends.
Yep.
So if the lightning were to strike near the studio or near Vanguard, that energy won't be induced back into the equipment that's in the house, and vice versa. So it's the best way that we can electrically isolate Vanguard and Studio B and the house, so that electrical energy that comes, through a magnetic field isn't going to destroy, hopefully, any of the equipment in Vanguard.
Now, see, all
I
the
would
network
try.
systems and camera systems that I put up, if you'll pull this one up, we used to use these a lot. These are from Ubiquity. They're a network. You see the cost of that?
Yeah, and I think we had one of those at Vanguard, or at Flagship,
I mean, it will.
and we blew up a lot of equipment.
Well, a direct strike's still going to go through it, but it is some sort of protection that way. And so, you could spend $1,000 on a lightning suppression thing.
And that surprises me from Ubiquity, because they're not cheap.
No,
They're not.
most of the stuff is not. We used to use
Yeah.
those a lot because we used to use their antennas for point-to-point stuff.
So we had
networks.
a point-to-point shot from Flagship to our location up there in Blue Ridge,
Right.
and we had just had nothing but disappointment and equipment failure with association to that.
Really?
So we abandoned that after replacing the equipment a couple of times, because
Right.
it just wasn't going to stand up.
Yeah, I don't know how well on because it was on a tower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know how well everything I've used has been building based, so it really didn't have a lightning issue.
Yeah. So we use a product called Canopy on a railroad, and those are usually Omni radiators that are installed on towers, and it's not a dish; it's more of an omnidirectional antenna system, but it's sort of like an industrial Wi-Fi. Let's break. So Canopy is another product that seems to work a little bit more reliably, but it doesn't have the range that a microwave shot would have. We needed the range to get from Blue Ridge to Flagship. We had the elevation at both ends. We could get a line of sight shot from one to the other. It was just a matter of the range, and Ubiquity had equipment that would do it until the wind blew. So, and it was BLEW. The wind blew it up. All right, so good stuff. With that, let's continue on and check in next with Rhino, Atlanta 123. Rhino, you haven't had any direct experience with electricity with lightning, have you? That doesn't sound like Rhino.
No, he's usually pretty clear.
Good evening, Net Control.
There he
This
is.
is WSJL 977 Atlanta 123, Rhino on Cheshire Bridge Road. I haven't had direct experience with lightning or electricity. No, I mean, my last job, they gave me an 8-pound hammer. You guys remember? So, and I like what you said. Something that stuck with me, Justin, was operating a handheld radio with 2 fingers. I operate mine with my pinky out and talk delicately. I actually am. I'm in the middle of quite a project. I bought some sections of 25G Roan tower sections to put up a little tower at the house here. Turns out that is the cheapest part of that project is buying the actual tower. Everything else has blown my mind. I knew to expect some expense, some peripheral expense, but and I'm not an expert. I am learning on the fly. Let me cycle. I am definitely have rolled my sleeves up and started learning. I've found some great some great resources. You know, it's not just the structural part of learning about this tower system and, you know, the safest and best practice to erect it and make sure that it's safely structurally installed, but then comes all of the technical and ethical, all of that. You know, here's something. I never expected to spend so much on lightning suppression, and I require DC pass-through. I'm going to be doing some VHF, UHF satellite work, and I am powering mast-mounted preamps from the transmission line. So I had to research and learn that I'm going to need DC pass-through. I'm going to power it with the radio so it can go up there. I have a great, I have my little, my folder going with all of my kind of research material. DX Engineering offers, I have right here a copy. It's a white paper revision for it. It says Selecting and Installing Lightning Protection Devices. And it's about a, 40-page document from 2012, so fairly recent, by DX Engineering. And it goes through in considerable detail. I'll do it. Let me cycle again. And it covers grounding and bonding and all of that. And yeah, I do plan on having a PoE, Power over Ethernet, camera at the top of this tower. And I have a Ubiquiti Dream router and then Ubiquiti access points all around the house that we use, but I opted out of the Ubiquiti. It seemed a little cheap. I don't know what the deal is, why that Ethernet surge protector could be so cheap. I opted into some gas discharge systems that were offered on Gigaparts. I forget the name of them. I've got them downstairs, but one will be at the top of the tower, and the other will be in my entry box. You know, and then all of that to buy for this system, and making sure that I have a substantial ground outlet for that box, and having a grounding bus, the shack that I'm building to route, to ground my antenna switches and all that kind of stuff. Man, I have learned a lot. I've had a lot of questions that I've had to dig in and do the research on, and I'm just kind of taking it slow. I want to do it right and invest properly. But great topic tonight. It's so funny that we're talking about this because I have really been up to my eyeballs in all of this material lately. So great net tonight. I've really enjoyed listening. And with that, this is WSJL 977 Atlanta 123 Rhino on Cheshire Bridge Road. Back to you, Net Control.
Very good stuff, Rhino, and I'm loving the idea of the project, and the other project that I was involved in last year, the year before, also equally surprising at just everything. $100 here, $500 there, 2 more sections. All right, there's another $550. That was a Roan 45G. Tower.
The tower ends up being the least expensive thing in the whole project.
It kind of does. I mean, the guying that tower was its own fascinating engineering task.
Right.
And, when we got the first 40 feet of that tower up and guys at 30, it's amazing how much movement there is in 40 feet of Roan 45.
It sways a couple feet, doesn't it?
Yeah, and so just we didn't even trust it to leave it stand like that overnight. We just had ropes attached to vehicles, tractors, pickup trucks, backhoe, so that we had something to keep that thing from moving, because without anything on it at 40 feet it moved quite a lot. So We didn't expect any severe weather or anything like that, but sometimes you don't have to expect it to get it. So we did a minimalist job of securing and guying that 40 feet of mast until we were able to get in there with the right stuff the next day. But we were working early in the morning through late at night. We've got photographs of Mike Beauchamp out there in his safety flip-flops with hammer drills and things of that nature, working on that tower site. So that's a big project, and people don't realize. I've got some tower here that I'm probably never going to install.
Yeah.
I'd like to, but it's just so big, and the only way that I think that it could ever be installed would be with a crane. Mm-hmm. And by the time you factor in the cost of that,
right,
I just don't know. So probably if I ever do a tower, it's going to be a Roan 25, because that's more DIY friendly.
Right.
And I'm going to have to find the DIY guys to do it for me, because I'm not climbing that thing.
Come on, Justin, just stick it in the dirt and put it up,
Yeah. Well, there is that, and that's something that's been considered too. Is
digging a hole
and shoving part of it in the hole, and not putting the whole thing up, just putting up a portion of it.
Right.
It's so massive that if I just put 30 or 40 feet of that up, I could mount antennas on that all day long, and it would be solid without probably guys of any kind. But I just at the same time I'm not comfortable with all that.
Right.
Let's break. So and that's the other challenge is that from Vanguard, and the 20-foot tower that we stand up for Vanguard with the 20 foot of mast that goes with that and 10 feet of antennas on that,
right,
you can get 50 feet in the air with 3 guys.
Right.
And no guys. So that's one way of approaching that whole thing is. Now, the Vanguard's antenna system, when it gets stood up, that's temporary. So we're there for a weekend. We're not there for the season. But you can get an antenna up in the air pretty quickly with minimal effort,
right,
and minimal structure, approaching it like that. Now, if that's something you want to stand up for 15 years, then you need a house bracket, you need some guys, you need
right,
some way to mount that far more securely than we get out of that base plate that we park Vanguard on top of. So,
and speaking of the DIY side of it, what can someone that might not have the budget to really get, grounding done a lot, what can they do on a regular basis? Or can we undo the antennas, do stuff like that? Because I'm sure we have some listeners out there that have an antenna up that might not have any grounding yet. They're going to do it, but they haven't got it yet. What can we do to help minimize any kind of incident that might come up?
So ordinarily, I would tell you that something is better than nothing.
Right.
All right. So whatever you do to mitigate the problem is better than not doing anything. But in this case, I'm not going to say that. All right, because when you bring a coax into your house from an antenna, whether it's mounted in the attic, whether it's mounted on the roof, whether it's mounted on the chimney, whether it's mounted on a mast next to the house, you bring that coax into the house, you have created a path.
Right.
And it's a low impedance path. It's ready access for an inductive current to move into the house. Now, what happens once it gets in there? Put it in a glass jar?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
I've heard of that.
I've heard of that too.
Well, not one glass jar. It's got to be multiple, or one of the insulators from like the 1800s that you move the high DC power on.
Yeah.
It can help. You could do that. It's better than nothing, though, isn't it? What if you don't have the funding to do a proper grounding at the moment?
Disconnecting and having them on the ground is going to provide the direct path right out that way.
So
they're not as attractive that way.
Yeah. I think if you're going to go that route, you need to disconnect it from your radio,
right,
and you need to pull it out of the window
outside
and leave the whole conductor outdoors.
Outside.
But really, if you're going to stand up,
if you want to protect against moisture, you can do that. Wrap the ends set it outside.
Okay.
Or just make sure it's fully dried before you reconnect it.
Right.
So wrap the ends sometimes. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I thought, oh yeah, let's break. I can't tell you how many times I thought I was doing the right thing by wrapping a plastic bag over the end of a cable.
Yeah, then
and going over it with a million wraps.
You just stored the
electrical
moisture,
tape.
right?
Yeah, you take the bag off and there's all kind of moisture, or even there's standing water in the bag. So sometimes that's a win and sometimes it's not. So if you're going to put a bag over a piece of wire, you might want to bend it up so that the opening of the bag is down.
Right.
And that way any water that gets in there has to go up to get there. And which it might still do because we have vapor and we have humidity that can condense inside the bag. But that's my thought, is that if you're going to put a bag on the end of the wire, make sure that's oriented in such a way that the water is more likely to escape down through the opening of the bag than pool because of the opening of the bag. But yeah, I think that if you're going to go that route, I'm not comfortable with putting the end of the coax in a glass jar and leaving it inside the house. Put it in a glass jar outside, do whatever you want to outside, but get it outside.
Right. Remember, the glass jars are on the other side of about $3,000 worth of lightning protection.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that there's all that protection, and I still disconnect every radio.
Okay.
Every time the lightning alarm goes off.
Okay.
That's PTSD.
Well, I mean, that might be. I'm not a subscriber to the glass jar, and so like I said, most of the time I tell people something is better than nothing.
Right.
But this is not that time.
No, I would not use the glass jar as the.
I think a lot of people do.
No, that's what I'm saying. No,
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
No. It's already gotten through the polyphasers, right there to the ground, at 3-foot lines and everything, balanced impedance and everything. But it still made it past it, and then it's got to get out of the glass jar.
What happens when a storm comes and you're in Denver?
I don't leave my house with my antennas, with my radios connected at this point.
What happens
when I
when-
leave town? They're completely, and at home when the alarm goes off on my phone, everything gets disconnected.
What happens when you're at home and the storm comes?
The alarm goes off on my phone and I disconnect.
So how do you communicate when the storm comes?
I use my
HT.
HTs. We just stand in the house and use HTs. We do that when Dane and I, when we host the nets and stuff, we'll switch over to an HT in a storm and let people know that we're getting off the air with their big radio.
All right.
Where is it? There it is.
Yeah. Okay. I don't get it.
Well, because the HT is not attached to anything, so it's not going to be.
But you also don't have any range with it. So if you want to have emergency communications available during a storm environment, disconnecting your antennas is not the way to do that.
Okay.
If HTs are all you've got, then that's something. But you're not going to be able to monitor. In most cases, you're not going to be able to monitor the Skywarn nets and hear the weather that's going on and the events that are going on. When we had tornadoes roll through here 6-7 years ago, Skywarn was tremendous because we were hearing about weather events and things that happen, rotation and stuff like that, from eyewitnesses on the ground 7 to 10 minutes before you'd hear it on WSB TV. That's great.
Oh, sure.
What works for me and Jim when he's recalling that, though, is my propagation point from flagship. Whether I'm on an HT or not, or the base, it sounds the same.
Yeah, you can't tell with me either.
Okay.
We have a line of sight to flagship.
So that's a rarity.
Yeah.
That's a luxury, but for most people, that's just not going to fly. So it's not. I mean, that's not something that you can really tell everybody that's going to work.
Now, something that's sort of on the move now is taking these HTs, buying a BTEC 25-watt amplifier, and going, from the HT through the amplifier to a mobile antenna, still being inside. That might be an alternative, but now you're talking still about that static buildup around if the lightning strike is close.
Yeah, and it's not so much static as it is the inductive current that happens when that magnetic field collapses. So if you've ever been around, like a relay, put your finger on one of the terminals of a relay and take the battery away from it. That is a hard bite. So what happens is when that magnetic field collapses, even though you've stopped the electricity flowing through that coil, when that magnetic field collapses, each one of the windings in that coil is picking up energy from that collapsing magnetic field and is amplifying the voltage. So even though you started off with 6 volts going into that relay coil, it's going to come back at you with 600 volts or more. There's no current there.
Right.
But it bites. It's very uncomfortable, and if that's connected to your sensitive electronics, kiss them goodbye. They're gone. It's that collapsing magnetic field that is so destructive in that environment. So, and that's what you don't want entering into your house. So, like I say, you don't even have to be in a direct strike situation. If that lightning bolt strikes your neighbor's house or the backyard or across the street, you're in trouble, and you may have done.
Ultimately, what you're saying is, pretty much no matter what you do, there's no guarantee.
No, there's really no guarantee, especially when it comes to a direct strike. That is probably going to destroy stuff anyway. And just ask Houston. Houston didn't have any trouble with his radio systems after that lightning strike. It was the house.
Yeah.
The house caught on fire through the electricity entering the attic through the gutters on the end of the roof. Didn't come in through his antennas. Didn't destroy any radios. Didn't destroy his TV, but it did a lot of damage to the house.
I heard it went down the rain gutters and traveled along a chain link fence and welded the gate shut.
Could very well be. Let's break.
I heard that actually from him.
Yeah, could very well be that happened. So, and well, let's face it, what is welding but heating up metal with electricity?
My blown up 7300 still has the exact same USB cable coming out of it and into the laptop, still connected to the fried laptop because it welded.
Yeah,
it welded the USB into the laptop and the back of the radio.
So, yep, that would be my answer. Is if you want to disconnect because you haven't properly grounded, then you should disconnect fully and get those conductors out of the house. Yep. That would be my advice. I really, and like I say, in most cases, I'm going to say something is better than nothing. And then first and foremost, we want to get on the air. What does it take to get us on the air?
Right.
And a lot of times we're gonna get on the air because we're not doing the grounding and we're not doing the bonding and we're not doing the lightning arresters. We're not doing all those things because we don't have the resources available at hand or we don't have the money or none of that matters. We want to get on the air first, but we also need to be safe about it. And so if disconnecting is the answer that for your system, then be sure you not only disconnect, but get those conductors outside so that if they do pick up an induced current, they're not going to bring that into the shag carpet.
And I have a YouTube comment about putting that cable outside.
Okay.
There's a certain kind of protection you could put over top of it that works really well as long as it's not lubricated.
Okay.
And also the other comment was an HT on an RF amp is not a good situation for a person with medical electronic devices.
That is very true.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I've never been one to appreciate those amplifiers. My experience with them is that they're spurious, they're noisy, they're problematic. Of course, most of the amplifiers that I've been around have been CB amplifiers.
Right.
But I've been around a handful of commercial amplifiers too on the railroad. And surprisingly enough, when you start looking at those amplifiers with some sophisticated analyzing equipment, they're garbage.
Yeah.
They're absolutely garbage. And how they get an FCC certification just blows me away.
Yeah. Probably most of the time they don't have it.
So, no, they do.
Well, the one that they approved was a lot better than the one they're now producing.
Yeah, slapping the stickers on.
I tell you, they're very noisy devices. Now, there are some that are out there that are not, but they're also not cheap.
Right.
You get into the things that are amplifying RF and they're $300 and less. Buyer beware. I just don't know how those things are getting approved for sale. But we've got one more in the roster here. We've got Randall in Buford. I wonder if Randall's still here. Sometimes he disappears on us. Gainesville 100. Are you there?
thought he said he was in and out though.
Maybe.
Not sure.
He's not allowed to be in and out, especially on an
ARA slash GMRS net.
Yeah.
Come one, come all.
That's right. That's right. We always want to hear from Randall. All right. All right, that's going to bring us to the end of the roster. Now, we do have some, we've got a handful of YouTube check-ins here. I don't know, did we ever mention, let's see, we did mention Atlanta 162, I think, Mark in Marietta,
right,
in and out.
Yeah, I think that's where you stopped.
And I think next is going to be Rome 11, Mark in Adairsville as a YouTube check-in, as well as Dallas 69, Brett in Hiram, checking in on YouTube. Columbus 25, Peter down in West Point, checking in on YouTube. And we've got a couple of guest check-ins. That's going to be, I'm assuming these are YouTube. WSAS 231 is a YouTube check-in without a name or location. That's okay. We've got you in the log. And also WRSN 677 is another YouTube check-in. We've got you in the log. We've got Atlanta 284, Lawrence and Griffin checking in on YouTube. Atlanta 162 is in here again. Mark in Marietta. We're going to allow that because we no longer audit our logs.
Nope.
So thank you, Mark, for checking
as many times as you want to.
in twice. Maybe. Well, it looks like Mark checked in on RF and then checked in again in.
So he gets twice the points.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's new. That's a new high score, Mark. Thank you for that. And you know, if somebody wants to double down on that and check in 3 times, I'm good with it.
Well.
Atlanta 251, Frank in Alpharetta, and Atlanta 252. Probably someone Frank knows.
Well, I think it's somebody. They didn't put a name. He just put Frank.
Okay. So, Frank, we've got you checked in.
So
there
he checked in twice as well, too.
You know, if you want to give us Atlanta 253, I don't know if that, I don't know if that's an actual TAC number or not, but hey, you know, we'll take it. So, with that, that's the end of the roster. We're going to take one more round of late check-ins, and anyone with questions or comments, if you've got a comment about something we've said, or you have a question about something we didn't say, or you think we should have, go ahead and bring that to the floor now. If you have a comment, just come on the air and say comment. Give us your TAC number or your first name, and we'll enter that into the log, and we'll come back to you. If you'd like to check in, well, you know the routine. So Net Control standing by for any questions, comments, late check-ins.
Late check-in, WROB 245, Atlanta 849.
Well, she didn't even check in earnest.
This is Atlanta 317. Whiskey, Sam Hotel Frank, 269. Excellent information tonight. Thank you.
This is. Good evening, Net Control. This is WRNW488, Atlanta 532, Tom in Flowery Branch. I'll be checking in and out. I listened to it all night. It was a great net. Good information. Is RNG58, Dallas 290. Checking in and checking out.
This is WQIV 982, Noonan 119, Jim and Noonan checking in and out, and that was good information. Thank you.
Jeez. Oh. I want to step on somebody. I got 46.
Awesome.
Chat 84 said he didn't hear his name.
I just got him in. I missed him. Gary went for the double. Appreciate it, Gary. Chat 84 just put you in the log, so I got you, button. All right.
All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge this round of check-ins. We've got Atlanta 849, Pamela in Duluth. Atlanta 317, David in Sandy Springs. Atlanta 532 Tom in Flowery Branch, in and out. Dallas 290 Isaac in Dallas. I think that's the best copy I've had on Isaac in a long time. Sounding great out there tonight, Isaac. Glad to have you in here. I've got you marked as in and out. Noonan 119 Jim in Noonan. And on YouTube, we've got Atlanta 128 Gary doing the double down. Thank you for that, Gary. Appreciate that. And we've got Atlanta 84.
Chat.
Oh, it's Chat
84.
Chat 84.
Yeah, somebody took my there. Oh no, I got him. He's 38. Never mind. Thought I missed him.
Okay, so we got Jim in Hickson. Where'd he go?
No, he. I think you missed. Did you miss?
I probably did.
250, 251, 252. You got Frank there. Line 38. Atlanta 84.
Atlanta 84. Yeah, I
that's
definitely
why.
missed that.
So that's supposed to be chat. Sorry.
That's Michael Smith in Little Rock, North Little Rock. Okay, Atlanta 84.
But it's supposed to be chat 84. My bad. I entered it wrong.
And so we don't have North Little Rock?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, we got Zach.
But we have
and Dalton.
Atlanta 251 Frank. We did talk about Frank. And then 252 is Zach.
Yeah, see, I messed something up there.
All right.
I don't know whether it's not updating fast enough.
That could be.
Maybe not. We'll get him down here.
All right. Okay, so our crack technical staff says that they know what our trouble was this morning, or this morning.
Oh, yeah.
This evening when we couldn't get on the ARA network, so I am...
Are you authorized now?
No, the once we finish, the studio node requires an update.
A reboot.
So it's going to get some magic from the network engineer just as soon as we close the net.
Okay.
So and that'll fix that for the next time we try to do an ARA net. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed because I feel like we need to do North Georgia GMRS next week because that is the schedule.
The schedule.
But I feel like we're also shortchanging the ARA side of things. So I got to figure out how to. We got to make it up to the ARA folks.
Another multiple.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do. We'll figure something out. We may do an extra special net or something. Maybe we won't. It's hard to say. Let's go to Atlanta 849 Pamela in Duluth, and we've got another double down here from Atlanta 60.
Well, he said he was in and out.
Okay.
He just put it in the chat that he's in and out.
All right. We'll allow it this time. Pamela, Atlanta 849. Go ahead with your comments.
Well, guys, I kind of tuned in late because I was trying to struggle with the Braves thing on my TV and getting mixed up. And then I called someone to find out what was going on tonight, and they told me that you had to switch over to the regular radio side. So I just called part of it. Interesting. I have that lever that to change the cable to cut off the radio when we have the storms. You know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the word for it right now, but that's what I have to protect us with when we have lightning or any storms.
Yeah, if I recall, you posted a picture of that. It's got a like a physical coupler that without threads on it, so it just makes an electrical connection to the antenna lead when it's closed, and then you can pull the lever and open it. And there again, I think that's one way to physically separate the antenna system from your radio, but you're still bringing that energy into the house. And so if you're not properly grounding and bonding and using lightning protection, I don't know that I would recommend that, because you are breaking the circuit, but that doesn't stop the energy from coming into the house. And if it's me, I don't want that energy to have a path into my house unless I have control over that. And control over that is through proper grounding and bonding. By grounding your system, you can provide a path for any of that energy that comes into the house to leave the house quickly and quietly. The idea is to provide a low impedance path so that any lightning or induced electricity that comes into your system can be dissipated quickly. And so one of the things that we hear a lot, we hear the phrase that lightning takes the path of least resistance. And while that is partially true, the full truth is that lightning takes, or electricity takes every path that is available to it to ground. So even if you offer some resistance in one part of the circuit over another part, you're still going to have current flowing in both parts of that circuit. So the idea that we can make a high impedance path versus a low impedance path doesn't mean that we're going to not have a circuit there. And so by having a circuit, even if you've got an air gap in that circuit, lightning doesn't care about that because it came to us through the atmosphere. It's already bypassed the air gap. So that's not necessarily a safe way, in my mind, of mitigating lightning protection. We need to really ground that in such a way that any energy that enters the system is going to have a path to get right back out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, if you have a glass jar full of sodium hexafluoride, that would actually work. That's a pretty good air gap. It would take.
What does the sodium hexafluoride do? Is that the same kind of fluoride you put in toothpaste?
No, you would not want this in your mouth. No.
I always thought fluoride was fluoride. Either there's a difference.
It's in the water.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
So we can use toothpaste to mitigate.
I mean, it'll mitigate it a little.
This has been off the rails since we got started, hasn't it?
We haven't been on the rails all night.
No, that's true. This is true.
All right. Okay, so back to the grounding. I think that's one step that you can take, but there really does need to be more. Let's break
that arc.
And I think that more is just having a proper ground. So we're going to drive a couple of ground rods. We're going to drive one near our antenna mast. And depending on what kind of a mast you have, if you're putting up a tower like Rhino is, you're probably going to drive 3 ground rods out there by that mast. And you're going to build a ring around all 3 of those. And you're going to ground each leg of your tower directly to those ground rods. And they're going to be balanced because that's what the ring does. And then you're also going to have a ground conductor that follows a shallow trench from that tower back to your shack. So the coax that's coming from that tower into your shack can be bonded to the same ground as the ground system in your house. If it were my system, I'd have a couple of ground rods driven just outside the entrance to the house so that I could put my lightning protection right there. So before that coax enters the house, it's going to pass through the lightning protection, which is going to have a low impedance path to ground. And that way the coax that does come into the house has been the best protected from a lightning strike that I can make it. Now, can I still get energy induced on that line from the lightning protection inside? Absolutely, I can. But most of the time, that energy is going to get absorbed by the lightning arrestor doesn't matter which side of the arrestor the coax is on, it's going to be able to draw that back to ground and get rid of most of that. Does that work in a direct strike?
No.
Almost never. You get bigger trouble when you take a direct lightning strike. And Rhino, unfortunately, you just installed a massive lightning rod in your backyard, and it will take some hits over time. So it's really super important that you do the things that you need to make sure. And it sounds like he did. He's spending the money to make sure that this is safe. He's doing the research. He's doing all those things that we need to do. Mike was doing all of those things, buying all of the equipment, sometimes disheartened at how far over budget he's gone. He thought he could put that 100-foot Roan 45 up for $10,000. And I think that ultimately he ended up north of 15.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and like I think it was you that pointed out, the tower sections are not actually probably one of the least expensive.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people get into that. I can buy a tower section for $125 or $175. So I go to this ham fest and that ham fest and I start collecting tower sections. When I get 10 of them, I'm going to stand this thing up.
Yeah.
You haven't bought the guys, you haven't bought the anchors, you haven't bought the turnbuckles,
the concrete,
all the concrete, the reinforced concrete to stand the thing on, and have that all perfectly balanced and aligned.
Anchors. You got to ground the anchors.
Yep.
It's not enough just to pour a big old block of concrete in the backyard to be an anchor. That needs to be grounded as well. So there's just no end. Let's break. But if you care enough to do all the things the right way, it should also be pretty easy to insure it too. The last thing you want to do is a poor install,
right,
and have a claim denied because you shortcutted on your grounding. Right. And insurance companies love to deny claims, and if you can give them a reason,
they'll
do it. So be very careful about lightning mitigation, because if you do suffer a disaster, it could be the first part of an ongoing disaster. So I recommend that we, if we're not going to do the proper lightning protection and grounding, that we make sure we get those conductors outside of the house before the storm comes, or stick it in a glass full of toothpaste.
After all the lightning protection.
It's however that works.
It's protection.
All right, and then without lubrication. Atlanta 317, David in Sandy Springs. David, do you have any comments or questions about antennas, bonding, and grounding?
I have a headphone J-pole outside, PVC pipe, 25 feet coming into my living room. Are you telling me that even a strike in my area to send a charge into my living room and take out my router, my computer? I mean, it's only within 6 feet of everything. Are you saying that charge could disrupt my entire living room?
I lost 7 televisions, 3 laptops, an entire home security system that the battery caught on fire because it was a wired home security system. So it didn't catch on fire. It was smoking and little sparks. But all of that came in and did that.
So 25 feet of coax with an Edfong antenna inside of a piece of PVC. It's a real common setup, right? So that the Edfong antenna is a great antenna. It's cheap, it's simple, it's plastic, right? So it's not going to take a strike. Well, it doesn't have to. If you understand a little bit about electricity, we'll go back to the very basics here. And if you place a magnet on the tabletop, and you take a piece of wire and you move it back and forth across that magnet, you can see a very small voltage in that wire. It can just be a straight piece of wire. You have a very sensitive voltmeter on that, and you'll see microvolts generated within that wire. Now, we can keep that very small piece of wire and create a larger magnet and create larger voltages. We can move that wire more rapidly and create larger voltages. There's things that we can do to scale that, but nothing we do to scale that basic electrical magnetic experiment comes into comparison to the scale of a lightning strike. So you have massive amounts of current that are traveling through the ionized atmosphere. So we've turned the air that we breathe becomes almost a superconductor, bringing down massive amounts of current from the sky to the ground, from the ground to the sky, whichever polarity that particular lightning strike has. And when it happens, because we're passing this huge current, we're creating a magnetic field around that wire, around that ionized column of air that the lightning is traveling through. And that's where the danger comes, is from that magnetic field, because when the lightning stops, that magnetic field is going to collapse, and when that magnetic field collapses, it's going to induce voltages in anything that's metallic around it. Steel, copper, aluminum, all of those things are conductive, and all of those things will react to that magnetic field and result in a small current, or maybe a large current. In a lot of cases, it's not so much the current as it is the voltage. And because the voltage is high, that voltage can do things through the air that a small voltage can't. So and the same effect happens in kind of a cascading pattern, right? So we've got the lightning strike, we've created the magnetic field. The magnetic field collapsed when the lightning was exhausted. All right, but that magnetic field. Let's break. That magnetic field transferred energy into other things nearby, into wires, into steel light posts, into fence posts, into chain link, and all of those things pick up that energy, and as electricity moves through those things, there's an electric field being created. And then that magnetic field collapses, the electric field collapses, and when it happens, it's kind of a cascade into the next thing. Now, each time it happens, it diminishes in energy, and it all happens in nanoseconds. But there's a cascade of magnetic events that happen when a lightning strike occurs, and that combination of cascading magnetic fields collapsing can be. That's really where the damage comes from in most cases. Most lightning strikes, most lightning damage that we see as homeowners is not because of a direct strike.
Right.
It's because the lightning hit outside a couple hundred feet away, a couple hundred yards away in some cases. And it wasn't the energy that moved through the ground. It wasn't the energy that bypassed, our circuit breakers or what have you. It's energy that's induced.
It's that pulse. And you're not safer with a smaller antenna like the Ed Fong in the description. I will tell you are less safe when you have a 168-foot wire out behind your house strung through the trees at 60 feet up because it's a larger inductor. So you're going to be pulling that. And then it becomes even more, the larger your antenna, the more crucial bleeding that static is off. Now also, not just for lightning protection, but if you're not bleeding that static, every time the wind blows, your signal is going to be horrible. We've heard that before on repeaters where it's kind of off that way, and then the wind blows, and all of a sudden it gets all staticky. That static electricity is coming from the wind friction against the antenna.
That's right.
It's very real.
And we've experienced that at sites where we've had, for instance, the Blue Ridge site was a very, very noisy site, electrically horribly noisy. We actually went on that tower and we replaced a lot of the bolts in the tower sections, in the leg sections, up and down that tower. And in doing so, we found some fasteners that it's lucky that tower was still standing.
Wow.
It had just plumb worn out. And so by going in there and replacing those loose fasteners and worn, where the shank of the bolt is worn down to almost nothing, we were able to clean up the noise on that tower tremendously. And that tower went from a very poor performing location to a pretty reasonable location during the time that we were on Blue Ridge. So that was a very interesting site, and we were able to mitigate some of the problems at that site for ourselves and for the other operators that were on that tower. But let's break. But that's true. There's a lot of things that can happen to induce noise in your system, and static electricity is certainly one of them. So if you're having a lot of trouble with static, it could be that you just need a better grounding system. Now it's tough to ground an end-fed or a middle-fed wire antenna. There's not really a good way to do that other than when you convert that balanced antenna into an unbalanced feed line, you can use lightning protection on that feed line. Should we talk about balanced and unbalanced? That's kind of out of scope for this conversation.
Unums and bellums and all that?
Yeah. So a balanced antenna or a balanced system is one where you have, what's the best way to say this? You've got a counterpoise and you've got a radiating element, and they're roughly equivalent. They're balanced, so to speak.
Right.
And so you can feed that with a ladder line, which remains balanced. And many of us are old enough to have the old 300 ohm TV antennas, where you would have a flat ribbon wire with a conductor at each edge of that wire. So a balanced feed line is going to be a larger version of that sort of a balanced 300 ohm TV wire. At some point along the way, everything went to 75 ohms. And we would connect a little transformer, a little balun to our antenna and then connect our 75 ohm coax to that and bring that into our TV. But before that, we had balanced systems where we had that flat ribbon wire.
Mm-hmm.
There was no transformer or no ballast or no balun at the antenna. We were connected directly to it, and that would come down and connect to our TV. Very dangerous because we never used lightning protection back in the 60s and 70s with those TV systems. We literally didn't. They were directly connected without any mitigation for lightning at all.
And then a big static crash would take out the tubes.
Yeah, and that would happen. We would wonder why we would go through tubes, and it was, that was a big part of why we really didn't have any kind of isolation against that kind of damage. So good stuff, David. Thanks for your comments. And I would be concerned enough about that I would start looking at adding some grounding features and adding some lightning protection. And that's really all you need, I think. If you do those two things, then you can continue to operate with confidence that you're protected against most lightning events.
Correct.
Are you protected against everything? I don't think you are, no matter what you do.
No, absolutely not.
I think that there's always the potential that you're going to take damage because of a lightning strike, no matter what mitigation practices you engage in. That's always a possibility. But we can reduce those chances significantly with a little bit of an investment in our stations. Let's break. All right, and last on the roster, we have Noonan 119, Jim in Noonan. Jim, did you have any comments for tonight's net? All right, not hearing anything from Jim. I'm going to show him as in and out. That would be Noonan 119. And that brings us to the end of the roster. Now, I don't know, did we acknowledge Atlanta 6-0 in the roster?
I don't know, but you should have the YouTube comments up. He's got another one. He said, this is why North Georgia GMRS uses the Andrew DB420 repeater antenna. It's DC grounded mass antenna.
Like what you were talking about, the mass on the antenna that in the back of the pickup truck.
In the back of the pickup truck, right. And that is the point of that antenna. Its lightning protection is self-contained. So if that, whether it's a direct strike or a nearby strike, the antenna mast is going to take the current because it's a lower impedance path to ground because it's already at ground. Mm-hmm. So it's a very low impedance path to ground through the mast. And then the elements that come off of the mast offer a much higher impedance. So although they can still carry energy and you still need lightning protection, you still got to have that polyphaser in that circuit.
Oh, yeah.
The lowest impedance path is going to be through the grounding system of the tower rather than through the heliax and through the center conductor on that antenna lead. You still, because it's not that electricity takes the path of least resistance. It'll take every path, and you'll still get some energy come down through the heliax, and you want to intercept that with your lightning arrestor. But that's a great point, and that is a great antenna for that reason. Now, is that the antenna that we're going to put in our attic or attached to our chimney? Yeah, that antenna is crazy expensive.
Yeah.
So you can justify its cost when you're installing a repeater that's going to talk to dozens and dozens and dozens of people. But when you're an individual trying to install an antenna system, the Ed Fong antenna makes a lot more sense.
Absolutely.
So it's much more affordable. It's, if it does get destroyed because of lightning, it's easy to replace. It's just, that's just where we're at. Mm-hmm. And my personal experience with the Ed Fong antenna is it's fantastic.
Absolutely.
I love it. So I think that's where a lot of us are going to start off at, and nothing wrong with that. So, all right, I think that's going to bring us to the end of the program, and so I'm going to read the part of the script that says, this concludes the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we had a total of 48, it looks like. Is that right?
48, we're counting?
Yeah.
Yeah, 48.
48?
Let's round it up to even 50.
We had 74 check-ins, including
74.
net control.
The auditor signed off
Somewhere
on that.
between 48 and 74. I don't know what the real number is. And
we may never know.
We may
It's
never
just a
know,
range.
because the auditors won't tell us anymore.
No.
Ever
We
since
stopped paying them.
Yeah. Net control will now be returning the repeaters back to normal use. Everyone who signed in should sign out. Don't forget, if you like and subscribe and give us a share, others may see our YouTube live stream and figure out that they've got better
What
things
band
to do.
we're on.
Yeah, what band we might be on. Who knows what they'll learn, but they may learn something. Remember that your comments show engagement with the video and help us grow. Tune in next week on any North Georgia GMRS repeater. And we're going to talk next week. We're going to talk about Juneteenth. You know what that is?
I have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
Rogers, do you know what that
Okay.
is? I don't know what it is.
Somewhat
I
of
know
an
what it
idea.
is.
So we're going to talk about Juneteenth. We're going to talk about the Independence Day that Juneteenth represents. And it's a much different... I'll tell you, when Juneteenth was announced as a national holiday... Let's break. When Juneteenth was announced as a national holiday, I had some really misinformed views as to what Juneteenth stood for. And a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to become enlightened, educated, informed as to what Juneteenth is really all about. And I'll tell you, it's kind of a fascinating story. So, and I honestly didn't know anything about any of this history. But it's important in our culture and in our society. And I'm anxious for the opportunity to talk about Juneteenth on the North Georgia GMRS Network next week. So I hope you'll tune in. I hope you'll have questions and comments, and I hope that you'll engage in the conversation next week when we talk about Juneteenth. Also, be sure and participate in the Friday Night Simplex Challenge. Where's that at, Dana?
That's right on the Monument Repeater, starting at 8 p.m. Early chickens.
Okay, and then what time does the Simplex Challenge happen on the N4KHQ repeater?
We start
That
taking...
starts with early check-ins around 7:15 p.m. and starts kicking off right around 7:30, I believe.
Who's the net controller for the amateur?
He's sitting
Simplex
beside
Challenge?
you. He's
That's
sitting
Mr.
beside
Jim
you.
there.
Just so you know. Did you?
Okay. All right. All right. And also there's another program that's worth listening to. In fact, that covered this very topic about 3 weeks before we did. And that would be Saturday Night Sessions. Be sure and tune in to Saturday Night Sessions on any North Georgia Amateur Radio Association repeater. And Dana, what's the topic this week?
It's going to be the International Space Station, how to track and decode messages.
The International House of Pancakes. It always boils down to food. It always boils down to food.
It's always food.
Yeah.
It's the only way we can get anybody's attention.
Yeah. All right. The space station and pancakes, and how to track them down. Very good. All right. This is Atlanta 946 WQIR 514. My name is Justin.
This is WSAM 231, Atlanta 102. My name is Jim.
And this is Atlanta 1150, WRZV 748. Tony.
This is WSAL 368, Atlanta 263, Rogers.
And last but not least, Atlanta 250, WRWK 619. Good night, folks.
We are North Georgia GMRS Network.
And we are clear.
Good night, everyone.
That was rough.
Hey, 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 hey.